Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Talk of the Town. Tonight, as host of Talk of the Town, I'm surrounded by lawyers, but it's the kind of lawyers that if you really are in trouble or need a lawyer, it's great to have the two people that are here with me tonight. Lynn Skirpon is a former register of wills, and she has a law practice that has to do with wills and estates. And if anybody needs her aid in that area, they should contact Lynn. She's local. She's local here. And she's also a senior advisor to the comptroller. So if you don't want to talk to her about the legal aspects of your life, you could talk to her about money, because she knows most about that. And of course, we have Len Lucci, who is really one of the attorneys that represents each one of us here in the city, and he represents us in Annapolis when the legislature is in session and after they're out of session, and he always looks out for the interests of the city of Bowie. And Len, of course, I always say he's a partner in a revered law firm of O'Malley, Miles, and Lucci, and that's the name of the law firm. I think that's right.
301-572-7900.
There it is. Okay. So contact either one of them, and they'll be able to help you. Now, I want to start tonight with a question, and I want your opinions on this. The BP oil spill, and it seems to be generating a lot of angst, which I understand, but it also politically is hitting President Obama. And people are saying that President Obama has the BP oil spill just as President Bush had Katrina. Katrina, as we know, did hammer President Bush a bit and was a negative for him. And the question is, does this BP oil spill, does that impact the way Katrina did? Does it put President Obama in a bad position, especially, and we're looking down at 2012, and I always think politically it's only around the corner. What do you think?
I think the two situations are like night and day. Katrina was marked by gross neglect that continued through the end of the Bush presidency, with the homes, the levees, and even the formaldehyde poisoned FEMA trailers. Contrast that to the Obama response, where there's 146,000 federal workers working on the scene right now, where there was immediate response, not just to try and close down the oil, but to work with the fishing industry, to work with environmental remediation, and to clean up the marshes. I don't know what more people could ask from President Obama, for him to put on a cape and fly down there and go underwater and cap the thing himself, or what. But I mean, they're very, very different. And especially, they came out that the safety agreements that are signed by all the oil companies are all the same, word for word, including protection of walruses, which there haven't been walruses in the Gulf of Mexico for like 3 million years. And those agreements were negotiated in private between the former Vice President, Mr. Cheney, and the oil companies. And so you want to lay some blame, I think that's where it belongs.
Oh, Lynn, what do you think?
I agree with almost everything that Len said, but I do think the perception is perilous. And we're taping this tonight before the president speaks, and probably whatever we say will be academic and different by the time the show airs. I think he needs to come out strong. I think he needs to say and to show that the government is doing everything that the government can be doing. And I think an awful lot is in perception, if not the actual efforts that are going towards cleaning up the Gulf. And it is a disaster, and it's going to be a disaster for years, for a decade to come.
It's surprising, and it shocked me in a way that we're incapable of having the scientific knowledge to be able to immediately take care of the spill, even though it's 5,000 feet underwater. But I'm shocked that they haven't been able, BP at all, haven't been able to put a cap on this thing or what have you. And the best thing is we're looking down the road at the 2 wells that they're drilling to relieve the pressure from the existing oil, pressure from where the oil is now, and relieve that and put it into other boats on the surface. It's scary that we don't have the control that we should have, that I should think should have, and BP doesn't have it. And evidently, you're probably right, across the board, none of those platforms, several hundred of them out in the Gulf, and none of them have have really any capability to stop this thing.
And here's the larger question. All those wells in the Gulf are driven by this nation's insatiable appetite for oil and fossil fuels, which, if we're going to save this earth, has to stop. And finally, this president, through the Recovery Act last year, has made the first major investment in solar and wind power in decades. And it's really a lot. It's late, but it's still not too late. But I mean, that's the bigger question: is we got to just stop being so reliant on oil for everything.
That's true. What do you think?
I agree absolutely, and I think he needs to say that tonight. And frankly, I expect he will. That the underlying problem is that we're overly dependent on oil, and we need to get that in check. And it only happens when gas goes up over $4 a gallon. Then people cut back a little, but we need to make some serious changes in the way this nation operates and change our fuel policies.
Now, Sarah Palin did say if we airdrop some vinegar on the Gulf Coast, we have a large salad.
That might
One
work.
wonders, though, about the former governor of Alaska who was using the term drill, baby, drill, drill anywhere and everywhere to get us the oil we need, or as you say, that we reach for. And I agree with you that the other forms of energy are out there and we should go along and develop them. The guy, what is it, T. Boone Pickens, when he's talking about wind, velocity and things like that. And there's a guy who made his money as an oil man, but he realizes, like everybody else, that the use of oil and the people that we pay for the oil, like the Saudis and the Iranians and Venezuela, people like that, are not our friends, and they're taking our dollars, and they're causing all part of the problem we have in terms of our economy now. I think a lot of it's wrapped up in our need and our overuse of oil and
Here's
fossil
how I feel.
fuels.
Everybody who said drill, baby, drill should go down in the Gulf right now and clean up that marsh. That's how I feel.
And that Lynn and I were just talking before you came in about, I saw an environmentalist in Alaska and said that the Exxon Valdez spill is still, a problem. And he went into an area and put his hand in and scooped up some oil, and everything else looked pristine. The water was clear, but he was able to pull from the Valdez spill, 10 years ago. Right. This guy's saying, and you're talking about the marshes down there. They say you'll never get the oil out of there.
And this disaster is like having a Valdez like every day.
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
And twice before, BP had these problems, once in Alaska and once, I think, in Texas, where people were killed and they couldn't stop the leak. So this is not the first time.
And further, when you look at the inspection process, that if the rig blew up, they said that there were a battery was